Hey guys, this is Pat, the Serial Gamer. Now I know some of you guys might be wondering, why is it Mario based more on true cultures and the real world? And to both of you I'd say, well, play Mario Odyssey. I mean, come on. But before that, the Game Boy Marios were really great examples. And Bowser and Princess Peach are nowhere to be seen. Mario Land 1 and 2 are some of the very rare Mario games that Shigeru Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka didn't touch at all. Generally speaking, it started when Gunpei Yokoi and his technical team invented the Game Boy. They showed it to Nintendo's president, who replied, "You know how to sell these? With Mario, so make one." And thus Super Mario Land was born just in time for the console's release in 1989. It was not in the Game Boy box, however. Tetris was. But it still didn't prevent it from selling it 18 million copies though. In the mysterious faraway land of Sarasa Land, the evil alien Tatanga decides he's a conqueror now, and he kidnaps Princess Daisy. Mario, seeking some variety to his princess saving business, just goes in to save her. Hey, I said no Peach, no Bowser. Never said anything about originality here. But a good way to describe Mario Land 1 in a nutshell is that it's kinda like an alternative version of Super Mario Bros. And I'm sure you can already see it just by looking at it. After all, for the team that made it, their biggest games were Metroid and Kid Icarus. Mario Land was a job. And what do a lot of people do when they get someone else's successful work on their lap? They are very careful. But they did manage to add their own special touch. For instance, instead of throwing fireballs, Mario tosses a Super Ball, and bullet bills get out of pipes now. Yeah, that makes sense. Settings wise, let's not forget that Mario Land came out right between Mario Bros. 3 and Mario World, so world types were not quite as set in stone yet. So here Mario starts out in Egypt. After that, it's what looks like the Bermuda Triangle where coins spell out Mario's name. What? And then after that we have Easter Island and finally China. Each world has 3 levels for a grand total of 12. They are longer than Super Mario Bros. But no, this game is not long at all. The team brought back a bit of the first Metroid with a small dose of copy pasting, but the loops aren't too long and it does vary from one level to the next. It's also the case for the enemies, as many are level specific, like Sphinx, spiders and jumping zombies. It must also be one of the few games in which Moais can run after you. Imagine just having that running after you. Even the Koopas, instead of tossing their shells as they usually do, they just blow up when you jump on them. These Koopas have disappeared after this game. Who else could replace them, I wonder? Instead of swimming on the water, Mario takes his submarine or his planes and just goes to war in side-scrolling shoot-em-up stages. Even the bosses are all different. Except for that, as I said, Super Mario Land is actually a very similar game to Super Mario Bros. With physics that can catch you off guard when you don't jump. And when Mario beats up Tatanga, Mario grabs Princess Daisy and they just fly together to the sunset with his plane. And yeah, that's it for Mario Land 1. It's a fun game, but it's cute, but it's so short that I think we'll just move on to the much more interesting Super Mario Land 2. Right after Super Mario Land's absolutely troubling events, Mario just left Princess Daisy somewhere to be invited to play tennis or golf once in a while, and he went right back to his castle. What, you really thought Mario lived in something like this? However, it seems he forgot to lock his door, because his rival Wario just settled in. And to open the gate and break Wario's curse, you will need to find 6 golden coins on this island. And yeah, you can talk about curses all you want, but that's where you get the confirmation that Mario, there's something weird about him. On his island, you can find a house, a big tree, okay, it's all good. But Mario, what are you doing with a giant statue of yourself in the middle of nowhere, you narcissist? Or could it be a giant mech? Yeah, that's gonna be it. He also has his own graveyard. Classic Western style, Japanese, why not both? I don't know who is laying down there, but it may be laying to the downed submarine at the bottom of the sea close by. Yeah, for the first time, Mario has his adventure for his own goals. That was one of the first decisions that the team literally made for a change of pace, to have some fun making the game. as apparently they didn't enjoy making the first game too much, but I couldn't find a reliable source talking about it. But whatever the case, the team shined in this one, as they will change pretty much all aspects surrounding the gameplay. We'll start up with the 6 zones I mentioned earlier. After an introduction level, you can do these zones in any order you want, kinda like a Mega Man X game. And this freedom of choice, along with the fact that the game saves your progress right after every single level, makes this game perfect for the 15-minute car ride or the few subway stations to go to work because you're a big boy now. The difficulty is pretty much identical from one zone to the next, but I think the giant tree is actually the easiest zone. Whatever the case might be, I think it's actually one of the easiest Marios around regardless of consoles. And it's not just because smoke begins to come out of the Game Boy whenever there are more than 2 enemies on screen. As for the other changes, you might have noticed at the bottom of the screen that you can have more than 100 coins. And that's because in this Mario, coins are, well, money. Actually, in a move that's reminiscing of Mario Bros. 2, Nintendo wants to initiate people to the magnificent world of gambling. Dump all your coins into the slot machine for a life bonus or some items. Speaking of which, they're nothing special actually. Mario can toss some good old fireballs with his stylistic feather on his cap, and he can make a spin jump whenever he's tall. With a magic carrot, Mario gains some rabbit ears, and strangely enough he can't do any spin jump anymore. Instead, he can float for a very long time and keep jumping indefinitely as long as you hold the jump button. However, easy doesn't necessarily mean boring. Pretty much each level is unique, like the cave with a sludge that makes you jump, or the level with not Lego blocks, or when you launch yourself in space, more than 10 years before Mario did on consoles with Super Mario Galaxy. They took away the shoot 'em up levels from Mario Land 1, but a few underwater levels are so different from one another that I didn't miss them too much. And if these levels weren't different enough, the enemies in them just add another layer. There are cannon-wearing pigs in space, the sharks with boxing gloves are simply the best thing you can find in the ocean, and no one is safe in the graveyard with him around. What's his name again?
Perfection.
The bosses are all different too, with a witch or a grand return of the Tanga. But with the right power up, turning the 3 little pigs into bacon won't be too hard if you catch my drift. But Wario as a final boss who's using the same skills as you, actually assuming his role as Mario's rival, is a nice touch I find. After that, all's well that ends well and someone is thanking him. Seriously, Mario just got his house back. He's got what he wanted? Who is thanking him? A few levels do have some hidden exits, giving them access to secret levels, but contrary to Mario World, finding them all won't give you a thing, except for a few pride points. And as I said, except for a small difficulty spike for the final Wario level, the game is pretty easy. If you want to share your love of Mario with your child, or a gaming newcomer who's not too good at them yet, it's actually a pretty good choice to test the waters, or if you just want a breath of fresh air in this series. And we didn't know it yet when the game came out in 1992, but Super Mario Land 2 is the last true original classic 2D Mario game before the release of New Super Mario Bros. On the DS, 14 years later. And now is the time where common sense will tell me to talk about Mario Land 3. But truth is, since Wario couldn't take Mario's castle, he committed an even more irreparable crime. He hijacked the entire series. As starting with Super Mario Land 3, the series becomes Wario Land. And Mario pretty much has nothing to do with it anymore. So instead, we'll have another look at Mario's original nemesis, where it all began, even this very channel, with Donkey Kong, the optimized version for the Super Game Boy. So the story of this game. Donkey Kong kidnaps Pauline and Mario runs after him to save her. Yeah, no word on Mario beating him up in this version. Come on Nintendo, we know he still has urges. And even in this game, even though he can't squish Goombas or Jasons under his boots, I'm sure he's enjoying his hammer way too much. So the Game Boy version of this classic literally starts as a remake of the arcade original, but after 4 levels, the game shows its true nature. In the end, the team borrowed a bit of gameplay from Mario Bros. 2 in the sense that you grab monsters and keys to toss them at other monsters. There are no heat-seeking masks when you grab a key in this one, however. All of this is injected into smaller Donkey Kong levels to make a puzzle platformer of about 100 levels. And it works. Basically, the game is about finding a key to unlock a door, and just finding out how to do it. Sometimes you need to use a conveyor belt to bring the key, create your own platforms and ladders, or use the monsters themselves to get the key. The end phases is more about the platforming, but there are a few levels that left me stumped for a few minutes. Mario jumps a few inches high, as in the original Donkey Kong, and his legs are still made out of dry pastas. However, he has a new rolling move that can save his life, barring for a few exceptions. That doesn't mean he's not agile though, as Mario can make a handstand, jump even higher afterwards, and then jump even higher after that. That last one is actually pretty useless, but it's there. Also, if he jumps while braking, he can make a backflip. So, for the Mario fans keeping count, that's the ancestor of the triple jump and the backflip 2 years before Mario 64 came out. The game has a lot of variety actually, with 9 worlds in total and between 8 to 16 levels in each. Although it's entirely in a straight line, you can't actually choose which level you will do next in this one. If the challenge is not high enough for you, each level has 3 of Pauline's items: a handbag, a parasol and a hat. What do you do with those dozens of junks to collect? Not much actually, but if you grab all 3 in a level, you can play a minigame to gain more lives. And every 4 levels, Mario catches up to Donkey Kong for a pretty easy fight generally speaking, but they're all different. They might even involve his son, Donkey Kong Jr. You might simply need to get to Pauline or toss 3 barrels in DK's face. Whatever happens, the chase continues. Depending on the time taken in the last batch of 4 levels, you gain extra lives and a cute scenes teaching you a move or a gimmick you're gonna come across later. It might be wind, some underwater swimming parts, or mini mushrooms and the like. Another detail I love, especially for Mario of that time, is all the death animation. Mario can burn, be electrified, or get squashed with a music that flows with the movements. Also, using the direct approach with Donkey Kong is not a great idea. And on that cute note, I'll just say that I love this version of Donkey Kong. There are 2 or 3 levels that stumped me for a bit, but it's nothing too crazy actually. It's one of the lesser known Mario games that I really recommend actually. And despite all the settings that the game throws at us, like the desert, the forest, or the unavoidable ice zone, you never know what to expect. This version of Donkey Kong also introduces us to Pauline's modern design, and it also marks the last time that Donkey Kong's old arcade design is used, as a few months after this game's released, he will be reborn on the Super NES with Donkey Kong Country. And yes, I will get to them really soon, subscribe to not miss it. 10 years later, another team at Nintendo will get inspired by this version of Donkey Kong and will start on the Game Boy Advance the Mario vs Donkey Kong series. That is about as good as this game from what I've played. So, the 3 Mario games on the Game Boy, especially Mario Land 2 and Donkey Kong, are some pretty good Mario games that are more on the experimental side. They're really fun and they all sold millions of units. They're not really talked about anymore, but until Nintendo releases a Super Mario GB All-Stars Unlimited run during 2 weeks, I strongly recommend them. Meanwhile, next episode we'll have a look at our last NES RPG on schedule, and I'll see you guys then.